Newsbreak, brought to you by National Mutual, member of the Global AXA Group.
Evening, I'm Tony Jones. Police fear there might be unexploded bombs at a farm on the Victoria-New South Wales border after a fatal blast late today. A 17-year-old youth was killed and 3 others injured, one seriously, in the explosion at a property in the small township of Kenley, northwest of Swan Hill. The police bomb squad is now on its way to the scene. Prime Minister John Howard is expected to forcefully protest the US decision to impose quotas on Australian lamb during his talks with President Clinton this week. While their meeting is unlikely to reverse the restrictions, our new Trade Minister says America's international reputation has been damaged.
As Prime Minister Howard pounded the pavements of the US Capitol, he passed a number of Washington's greatest monuments, none more famous than the White House, where he'll tackle President Clinton over the lamb issue on Tuesday.
How are you?
While Mr Howard took a break from official engagements and Washington's hot summer weather, back home, Trade Minister-to-be Mark Vaile turned up the heat on America.
We need to elevate this issue, elevate the decision that they've taken so that that's profiled across the world.
With Australia leading the world as an open market economy, Mr Vaile says the government has every right to criticise the US lamb decision.
The Prime Minister can go and eyeball the President of the US and say the decision you have just taken is an incorrect decision.
But as Mr Vaile attacked the US for changing its tune on free trade, he also said it's time Australia put the brakes on further reform.
What we've achieved puts us ahead of the field. It's now time to I suppose, draw breath and drag everybody else up to where we are.
But that's an idea the Prime Minister is likely to reject ahead of his talks with President Clinton. Mr Howard insists all countries must continue to knock down trade barriers, and he needs the United States to be on board. In Washington, Flo Bitcon, National 9 News.
In Victoria, a major victory for Premier Jeff Kennett today, with his small business minister Louise Asher swamping her rivals in the final round of a bitter pre-selection battle. In the blue ribbon state seat of Brighton, Ms Asher tripled the vote of her main opponent, Mitch Fifield, who'd been backed by Federal Treasurer Peter Costello. And Liberal Party power brokers in New South Wales have angrily denied reports that a plot is being hatched to topple Kerry Chikarovsky as opposition leader. It's speculated the front-runners in a change of leadership are former Federal Family Services Minister Warwick Smith and ex-New South Wales Planning Minister Robert Webster. Australian IOC member Phil Coles is being asked to pay back up to $45,000 spent on him by the organisers of the 2002 Winter Games in Salt Lake City. The bill is for a ski holiday, 5-star accommodation and entertainment. Last month, Mr Coles was given a reprimand by the International Olympic Committee for accepting the gifts. The US Air Force has successfully completed an extraordinary mission to Antarctica. Late this afternoon, 2 military planes dropped vital medical equipment and supplies to help a researcher who fears she might have breast cancer.
These are the final preparations for a 10,000-kilometre round trip which may just save a life. 19 aircrew in 2 US Air Force planes packing away tons of equipment to be dropped over a South Pole station.
This is probably one of our most challenging peacetime missions.
At this time of year, constant darkness and minus 60-degree temperatures make it impossible to get people in or out of Antarctica, posing a dilemma for an unnamed 47-year-old US researcher who's found a lump in her breast. The solution, drugs and medical equipment, including ultrasound scanners, to be dropped near the Amundsen Scott station to help treat the researcher. The planes will have to drop the bundles of equipment from an altitude of just 300 metres, aiming at burning barrels.
The bundles will go down and they'll be dropped and they'll be picked up very rapidly by the folks at the South Pole. We have to only 5 to 7 minutes before they freeze.
If all goes to plan, the equipment will be used to gather data which will be sent back to the US via the internet to obtain a diagnosis. James Talia, National 9 News.
Singer Sir Elton John has been released from a London hospital just a day after having a pacemaker fitted to correct an irregular heartbeat.
Feel very well. I'm a bit stiff, a bit sore, but everything went really well.
Concerns for the 52-year-old's health peaked when he collapsed on a flight last weekend to Ireland, where he was due to sing at the wedding of soccer star David Beckham and Posh Spice. Sir Elton is now recovering at his home in France and expects to be back on stage by the end of next month. Sport now, and Australia's Stuart O'Grady has moved back up to 3rd overall in the Tour de France. After finishing runner-up in the 7th stage, Italy's Mario Cipollini won the leg, making it 4 consecutive stages, the first time that's happened since 1930. Checking the national weather for you now, and a showery Monday coming up for most capitals, with cloudy periods for Adelaide and a fine day for Darwin. That's the news for now. Good night.
This has been a National 9 News presentation.